In the space of these last few weeks, our lives have been altered. The familiar is gone, at least for a while. Our habits and our patterns are disrupted. Our future seems to be at risk. Our social networks are also disrupted. Our connections are strained. We look at others and they look at us with suspicion. We have social distancing, yes, but we also have social converging. We find ourselves spending much more time and different time with the people that we live with. We're a little too close for comfort. When we get home, we put our clothes straight in the washing machine with hot water. Our spouses and our roommates might be following behind us with a bleach cloth to carefully wipe everything that we touched. This pandemic prompts fear and isolation, while at the same time challenging the very cornerstones of what we thought our close relationships and ourselves would be. In this video, we complement the information in the rest of our curriculum with a look at how this pandemic challenges relationships, our own and the relationships of others, and we glean from the science of relationships how best to proceed.
The fears and the disruptions caused by the current pandemic strain people. It's like putting the already challenging parts of our relationships into a pressure jar and then shaking the jar.
Coping with loss and coping with uncertainty has become a huge part of how we deal with the COVID-19 pandemic. Think of all the plans we had, all the plans that people made for us, that we made, that we had to cancel. Weddings, funerals, graduations, for kids, schools, and sports seasons. We have a long list of indulgences, things that we love to do to help us manage our stress, and that list has just gotten so much shorter. And we've had to manage with that. And when you think of all this loss, I think it's helpful to think of the 5 stages of grief: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance, and how much those 5 stages really apply to how we're coping with the loss within this pandemic.
Some of our patients continue to physically show up to jobs that enable essential services like grocery stores, plumbing, heat, transportation, and healthcare. Uncertainty and anxiety about COVID-19 combines with relationship challenges, concerns about money, and a whole host of accumulating problems in our everyday lives and in the lives of our patients. In addition to our own relationships, we want to help and advocate for others, but our resources are strained. Relationship challenges add to social stressors such as job loss, housing threats, addiction, food insecurity, and transportation.
People are wired for human connection and touch. This desire for connection and touch is sometimes called skin hunger and can bring us toward each other. Human connection and touch can make us healthier by promoting better immune system responses, triggering feelings of compassion, promoting oxytocin release, reducing stress hormones, and helping the body fight infection. The current need for social distancing minimizes the very thing we're biologically programmed to need.
The isolation of social distancing is both painful and disorienting. We have literally never done this before. We're not seeing friends, family, and coworkers. We stopped going to the gym. Maybe we've put dating on hold. Our kids aren't seeing their teachers, their classmates, their teammates. We've really come to appreciate how these daily connections are so valuable and really matter in our lives.
And then there's the social convergence. Yes, we love our families and friends. Yes, we love to spend time with one another, but maybe not this much time in the midst of so much turmoil. Emotions can run high. Close relationships can be a source of support, but being cooped up for so long with one another can tip us over the edge with nowhere to escape. There's an old cartoon about a person on a stage addressing the adult children of normal parents' annual convention. There are 2 people in the auditorium. The social convergence can intensify already distressed relationships as the pressure builds. Then we have concerns about jobs and money. Layer sickness on top and you have a recipe for relationship disaster.
We need to acknowledge our limitations. Set boundaries for what you can and cannot do in your close relationships. Apart from abuse, this is not the time to make relationship decisions. This is not the time for our patients to make relationship decisions. Good decisions are not made in crisis mode. Ride this out until the stress decreases.
Avoid the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. Avoid criticism, defensiveness, contempt, and stonewalling. In other words, use a gentle startup, take responsibility for what you know or don't know, describe your feelings and needs, and take a breath when you want to check out.
Call time out when feeling defensive, but also let the other person know that we'll be back. This is a hard time to regulate emotions, but the relationship issue probably can't get resolved in pandemic mode. Seek to have a short memory and respond only what is right in front of us. Short memory means dropping grudges and slights, letting go of what happened in the past, and starting each day anew. Like a wide receiver who drops the football, we have to go right back to the game. There will be a time to go back to the hard questions when things settle down after quarantine.
Put the best possible interpretation on what the other person says or does. If our partner usually gives us lots of space, but is now following behind our every step with a bleach cloth, the best possible interpretation is that they are worried about us.
Can we change the term from social distancing to physical distancing? We can still be connected socially. We can do Zoom parties. We can take walks with friends or families while staying at least 6 feet apart from each other. We also, as medical professionals, can reach out to some more vulnerable people like elderly who may have already been a little bit socially isolated before the pandemic and are now much more isolated. We can reach out to patients who maybe have had a history of mental illness and check in and see how they're doing and offer them strategies on how to do their physical distancing while still staying socially connected. Let's learn from others how they're coping with physical distancing, and let's share best practices.
It's okay for relationships to be in flux right now. This pandemic ratchets up anxiety, and we're right in the middle of it. It's okay not to be okay. There will be some time in the future to take our relationships from good to great. Now might not be the right time.
This is not the relationship that we signed up for. What we can do now is to set boundaries, including connecting patients to other people who can fill in for some of what we thought we could do. We can avoid the relationship apocalypse communication behaviors. Instead of criticism, defensiveness, contempt, or stonewalling, we can call a timeout. When emotions get the best of us, choose to have a short memory and hold off on the big questions. They will come back.